Okay, here we're going to go through some highlights on how Matthew and Luke are playing on the themes of Chanukah. Remember that Hanukkah is predicted as the Lord's birthday in Haggai 2. Haggai. I always confuse this with Hagios, which is actually a Greek term. So I always say it wrong. Okay, in Haggai 2, you have this going on. Alright, first time he comes, there are 3 recordings of a message. 21st of the 7th month, that's the end of the Feast of Booths. The Lord is tying the end of the Feast of Booths to Hanukkah, what will be Hanukkah. Alright, that's really important because on the opposite side of the Jewish calendar, in the first 6 months of the Jewish sacred calendar, Pentecost occurs. And Hanukkah is basically, due to intercalation, the opposite of Pentecost, just as Booths is the opposite of Passover. So Passover ends on the 21st of the first month, and Booths ends on the 21st of the 7th month. I cover that in the pastplot.htm, which hopefully you've had a chance to skim by now. Okay, now, beginning in Haggai 2:10, we're now looking at the same day that Hanukkah will occur. But it's the day. Remember, in Jewish time, the 9th month, which is Kislev in the Jewish calendar, in Jewish time, the new day begins piggybacked on the old solar day. Okay, this is a really clever system of accounting. So the 24th of the 9th month is the 24th of Kislev. The 25th of Kislev, which will become Hanukkah, alright, is going to begin at sundown of this day. So twice the Lord has Haggai send a message. The first time, he is being very sarcastic about being unclean. Alright? Now, what's so clever about this is that what's going to become Hanukkah is due to the temple being unclean. So the Lord is anticipating the meaning of this day by 357 years, because at the time he's speaking Haggai 2:11, it's 522 BC, maybe 521. Alright? So he's anticipating what's going to become 164 BC Hanukkah when he starts talking about unclean. Because the temple is going to be unclean. It will have been defiled by pigs and human sacrifices for 3 years, from 167 BC to 164 BC. That's in my pastplot.htm, by Antiochus IV Epiphanes. Epiphanes means illustrious in Greek. Okay, it's a very stupid name. Alright, so he's saying this people is unclean, so they will remember. This is real important. When Antiochus is going to make the temple unclean, the people will therefore be caused to remember Haggai 2, so they will know that their temple is unclean because they are unclean. He's chiding them for not doing what they were supposed to do and build the temple. Okay, but look, consider from this day onward. This is so clever. Okay, from this day onward, when the day ends, it's sundown. What's the next day? The 25th. So you can understand why they pick the 25th of Kislev to institute Hanukkah, because they're remembering Haggai 2. This is the first of 2 prophecies on the same day. Very unusual. I don't even know that there's another prophecy in the Bible that's done twice in one day. Okay? Now consider from this day onward. So that's the first half of the prophecy. Alright? And then the point he's trying to say is that before the temple was built, they didn't have enough food, and the Lord afflicted them because you didn't come back to me. So now he's saying, consider from this day onward. See how he's repeating it? That's very important in Bible prophecy. So from sundown on, from the 24th of the 9th day of the month, from the day the temple was founded. So they, in 537 BC, they had laid the foundation stone, but then didn't do anything. And because they didn't do anything, verse 16 and 17, they had bad crops. That's Leviticus 26 playing out on them. So he's prophetically pointing up to the future, the Daniel 7, Daniel 8 stuff, okay, which had already come out, remember. Daniel came out before Haggai. Daniel came out in 538. All right? So Haggai is playing to Daniel about the future prophecy of this Antiochus guy in Daniel 7 and 8. I think it's Daniel 7 or 8. I forget. I think it's Daniel 8 where the 2300 days is. I'm not going to look it up now. You can look it up. Okay? So Haggai is playing to Daniel. So they're going to remember Daniel and Haggai when it actually comes to pass in 167. Well, actually, Antiochus took over in 169 BC, and he desecrates the temple from the period 167 to 164. So all of this is coming back to their minds. Do consider from this day onward. See, he's warning them in advance. They already have Daniel at the time Haggai talks. All right? So this is building on Daniel. And now he's saying, from this day on I will bless you. In other words, this day is going to end at sundown. That begins the 25th. And now, all of this scarcity that they were suffering, they're not going to suffer anymore because he's going to bless them. Why? Because it's going to become the anniversary of Christ's birth. And how do you know that? Because then the word of the Lord comes a second time to Haggai.